Well, hello and welcome to my video, folks. On this video, I basically want to share my Excel spreadsheet. It's more like a kind of Excel application that I built to track my workouts, my weight training or resistance training program. And since I work as a data analyst, this is how I earn my living. I have a kind of I think close affinity, I can say, with Excel and all things data. So before actually I start with sharing the details and getting into the details of my application in Excel, I want to tell you that I want to talk about the driving philosophy, the underlying principles that helped me to build the kind of compelled me actually to build this Excel application. And this is first off, let me kind of briefly describe my workout routine, and then I'll delve into that. I work out typically 6 days a week, and that's a typical strength training forward slash bodybuilding or muscle building type of exercises. And what are the most important variables or factors that comprise the overall workout regimen? And obviously the goals are to gain strength, to improve the one's strength in muscle mass, in muscle size, muscle mass, and overall strength, ability to lift heavier for those lifts that typical lifts that we're all using in a gym environment, whether it's a bench press, deadlift, squats and back squats and leg presses, shoulder presses, military presses, dips, what have you. How we're measuring our progress are two ways, right? One is the what kind of a muscle mass we're adding to our body, and two, are we monitoring and observing a significant amount of strength gains? Are we lifting next year heavier than the previous year, for instance, in bench press and dumbbells, roughly speaking? So what are those factors? Number of sets, number of reps, amount of weight, and also amount of rest in between those sets, and also frequency each week. As you guys know, typically the week is the measure unit is week. We're measuring our progress on a weekly basis. And I just counted those five factors, five elements. I call them actually five significant dimensions that is going into preparing a program, a routine, a regimen that one should follow if one wants to improve overall musculature and strength. So let's get into a little bit of a definition of those things. For instance, the weight, amount of weight. How do you define? How do you decide what kind of a weight, meaning lightweight, moderate weight, and heavyweight? And what is the definition of heavyweight? Typically, especially for compound exercises, or it's also called multi-joint exercises, such as the basic fundamental exercises. Bench press is one of them. Back squats is another one. Military press is another one. Barbell rows another one. Those are compound exercises. And typically, the amount of weight is, if it is heavy, that's typically 80 to 90% of the one rep maximum. One rep maximum, in short, 1 RM, meaning what is the most you can lift for one rep. That's why it's called one rep maximum. Give and take, you can kind of measure that, especially if you've been doing this long enough. You can kind of tell what's your one rep maximum, right? You know how much you can do, you can push on bench press or squats. So once you find your one rep maximum, then you can start kind of breaking down by heavyweight, moderate weight, or lightweight. And the relationship between the number of reps and weights is, as the amount of weight goes up, number of reps come down. It has an inverse relationship between those, right? Or if you're applying higher reps, then the amount of weight you're going to be handling is obviously naturally is going to go down. So what determines then, what kind of a weight I should be using? Should I use 8 to 12, 12 to 15, or 4 to 5, 4 to 6 reps? All these things are serving their own kind of purposes, serving their own niches, their own specific goals. For instance, for the compound exercises, you're using, typically you use 4 to 6 rep range for those multi-joint exercises such as bench press or deadlift or squats, back squats. If you're using single joint exercises, examples are tricep pushdown or dumbbell side laterals, dumbbell flies. Those are more isolated. That's why it's called isolation exercises, and their goal is to kind of hit a certain locality to be able to kind of hit the certain area of the muscle from a certain angle. It is much different than multi-joint compound exercises. Typically, those exercises are performed with not heavy weights, but light to moderate weights, and typically you can do more higher amount of reps, like 10, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, depending on the person to person. So these are the basic tenets of the basic dimensions that go into designing a program, obviously depending on what kind of exercises and one will be using, and I will be getting into that once I start going through my spreadsheet. Like I said, the purpose of this spreadsheet is at the end of each week, I want to show you here right now. The first box you're seeing is muscle group, and it's all green, meaning for that week, which was the last week, previous week, I hit all my goals, meaning the rep ranges are given for the large muscle groups. The top 4 is the large muscle groups, such as chest, back, quadriceps, and hamstrings. These are large muscle groups, and the recommended ranges are between 60 to 120 in the small muscle groups, and those are shoulders, biceps, and triceps, and calves. And those are 30 to 60. Again, those are kind of a rule of thumb. It's not exact, but rule of thumb kind of a range. I personally prefer to hit the maximum end or exceed it. Such as for this one, quadriceps, my upper limit is 120, but I did 186 total reps last week for my hamstrings. I can do that as long as I'm green. I can exceed that too sometimes, depending on the combinations of the weight sets, number of sets and weights. I might end up in the yellow, and if I do end up in the yellow, meaning it's yellow between 60 to 120, that's yellow, then I prefer to be in the middle of yellow, like in the middle of the range. Middle point is 80, right? If it's between 60 to 120, and if I happen to be yellow, at least I want to be at least 80 or 90. Again, depending on the amount of weights I use and in number of reps, that might also change as well, depending on how I approach for that particular week or how I kind of feel about that, I guess. But typically, I'm trying to hit green. The next box is showing, again, for the same muscle groups, the total weights, the total poundage that I left. For instance, again, last week for chest, I pushed 34,470 pounds. You can see the other weight groups, total poundages for the other muscle groups. In the last box, the third one is showing me the number of total sets per muscle group per week. If you notice that the total poundage that I pushed last week was 253,590 pounds. So this is my kind of a weekly report. What I'm looking at here right now and presenting and sharing it with you is kind of like my weekly report that's showing me this summary. Now I'm going up, and I want to start, from the most left-hand side, starting with the column A, and how I utilize the structure that you're looking at on my spreadsheet. The first box here, you can see that it's self-explanatory, is mode, date, and day of the week. The mode is I got drop down boxes here, and I can pick and choose. Like, four of them, 5 days out of this week. Last week I used the gym. Actually, I went to the gym. One day I worked out at home because I got a pretty good equipment, pretty good, a lot of weights, I could say, enough equipment in my basement that I can also perform a lot of exercises. So sometimes I don't feel like going to the gym, or sometimes, for instance, typically, if I want to do only biceps or triceps, particularly biceps, sometimes back, I can easily do them, perform them also at home. I can do deadlifts and squats as well, but I prefer to go to the gym for that one. So that's the week, starting with always Monday, ending Sunday, and the dates of that week. So let's look at the second group. The second group, as you see, has two different colors. One is blue, the blue section, the blue area, right? And the other one is the green area. So I got, as you see, it says muscle group number 1 and muscle group number 2. So basically, colors are representing different muscle groups. Example again, I'm going to start with the Monday to explain this. Monday, I did 2 muscle groups, quadriceps and calves. So I want to go right. These are the muscle groups that I choose. And again, there are drop-down boxes here. I can pick and choose which muscle group that I want to use. I want to exercise. I want to work out. And I'm going a little right here. Excuse me. There you go. Now, this is the detail section. As you see now, at the top again, there's a bar, the blue bar. That blue bar is referring to you remember that blue section? That was the muscle group number 1. That's what it is. And the next one is the green bar, the exercise group 2, which is referring to the muscle group 2 on the initial area that I was showing earlier. This group. So now let's look at, what I did for the blue group, for what did I say? Quadriceps, right? For quadriceps, I chose 2 different exercises. And I got, as you see, 3 different sections here. Because I can use up to, it doesn't have to be, but I can use up to 3 different exercises per muscle group per week, again. Per muscle group per week. So exercise A and B and C are all coming under the exercise group 1, and this time it happened to be for Monday quadriceps. So I chose 2 exercises. One is a V squat machine, and this is the list that I used. It's kind of a long drop down box I have, and I can pick and choose. And I have 2 main sections in that. It's one, as you see on the top, it says home exercises. But I was at the gym, right? So I'm going to go, there you go, a little bit lower, starting with that top home exercises, come down a little bit. See that gym exercises, right? Typically, home, I'm more restricted, obviously. I got like 33 or so, or 35 exercises available to me at home. In the gym, obviously, I have a whole lot more access to like all kinds of equipment and machine and stuff like that. So 75 or so exercises I can perform at the gym. So in this case, from the gym, I chose V squat machine. It's one of the leg machines. There are lots of different types of leg machines, right? V squat machine, hack squat machine, leg press sled, leg press machine, standing calf raises machine, seated calf raises machine, seated leg curl machine, or vertical or laying down leg curl machine. Easily up to almost 10 different leg machines that you can count, and I'm picking and choosing depending on what muscle group I'm gonna hit, right? In this case, for quadriceps, I chose V squat machine. And here's the details that I'm tracking. Those, remember those 5 dimensions, the weight, set, rep, and all those things. The weight that I used was 549 pounds. I did 10 sets, and I performed 6 reps. So the total weight calculated here, that means the total poundage that I basically completed during that particular workout using V squat machine for 10 sets, is multiplying number of sets, which is 6, with number of sets and number of weight, amount of weight I use. And that gives me the total number of weights, total amount of weight I use for that V squat exercise was 32,940 pounds. Then after finishing this, I went to the next exercise, which was a leg press machine, not the sled that you can load up those plates, 45 pounders, not that, but the machine that you can basically pick and choose the weight. You can change the location of the pin. I always choose on that machine the lowest, the bottom one, meaning the heaviest one. The heaviest weight on that machine is 390 pounds. To be able to exert myself better or exert more force, you can change the location of the seat. As you put the seat higher, it is a lot easier. Well, I put the seat not at the exact absolute lowest degree, one notch back, one notch higher. Then I can even start at that weight without warming up and keep going. And I did with that 5 sets and 6 reps with the same logic as I described before earlier. The total poundage I pushed was 11,700 pounds. So that concludes the blue section, which was the quadriceps, right? This is what I was saying here. I'm going back here. There you go, quadriceps, the blue group. And I completed that blue group here in exercise group 1, and I'm now going to exercise group 2. And for this, I used a seated calf machine. So for the seated calf machine, and this is one of my most favorite calf exercise equipment, by the way. I sometimes use also the standing calf machine. Sometimes there's different kind of machines that you can sit in. You just kind of push with the tip of your foot, to give a workout for your calves. But this is my most kind of preferred personal selection preference, basically. So with the seated calf machine, I did. I used. There you go. See, I used the two same seated calf machine. I'm showing twice. The reason why is the first time I did 13 sets of 10 reps using 205 pounds. And the second one I used 255 pounds, 6 sets and 5 reps. I could have put easily into one by taking the average for the number of weights and even number of reps. A lot of times I do that, and I'll tell you why. But in this case, I had space here, so I didn't bother with that. I just showed that in 2 separate sections. So, but in either case, the total is, calf muscles. Total number of sets I used was 15, right? 13 set here, 6 set here, 19 sets I gave to the calves. So, example, I want to talk about chest exercise, for instance. When you look at the chest, I want to go back here and I can show you that. There you go. There you go. The chest, I started with the hammer strength machine or equipment using the plate loader. So it's a machine. It's not like a free weight with a bar and weights on it, but it's a machine where you can actually load up the free weights still. And the brand machine is Hammer. It's known as Hammer Strength, so I'm using that name. Hammer Strength is the brand name. So I used that one, and I did 220 pounds on that incline. I did 6 sets and 6 reps. And then I move up to, again, the same type of machine, hammer strength, but this time it was decline. The incline, as you know, is the upper portion of the chest or pec area, and this decline is hitting the lower portion of the pectoralis muscles. And with it, I used 360 pounds, again, 6 sets and 6 reps. And also, this is also one of my favorites, another incline machine, but this is not, you cannot use the plates with like 45 pounders or any other type. But this is like a pin operated, so you can basically pick and choose whatever the weight. It's a weight stack. And on that one, I used 285 pounds for 6 sets and 4 reps each time. And as you see in the yellow section, or kind of orange, right? Or is that right? Not orange, maybe brownish or amber. I'm not very good with colors. So this is total poundages listed here. And I want to go back left a little bit. So for the second day, Tuesday, this area, the color burgundy, dark blue or burgundy, it shows the total number of sets, reps, and weight. And again, this is a combination of everything that I did. Like all these, that day on Tuesday, I did all these 1, 2, and 3 different exercises, even four different exercises, right? And their combinations are total number of sets of 24, total number of sets of 156. I'm sorry, reps 156, and total amount of pounds. The weight that I pushed was 33,420 pounds. So basically, by doing this for the rest of the days, and I'm coming down to the totals, the summary results that I was showing you here. By the way, I want to also, the kind of technicality of how that program is working is once I complete all this, workout here for that particular workout day, I come down here and hit this reset button. When I hit the reset subtotals, this section it's called subtotals. When I hit this button, there's a Visual Basic code right behind this button, and it is basically taking the subtotals simply again. It's calculating the subtotals again, and it's basically categorizing by the muscle group. Like here it says, there are 2 times I did back, and here's the back total. Only one day I did biceps, here's the biceps total. And for instance, chest I did twice, 2 separate days, and chest totals. So it's giving me the totals here, and that is being utilized by another button here, which also has another set of code, VBA code. It is automatically calculating and populating this section, which shows as green now, for each muscle group per that I use for that week. And the rep ranges, this is a static section. It is the section that the logic is looking at it and looking at the totals after calculating it and comparing to the range. And if it is, it's using 3 different colors. And the one is red, which is, if it is less than 60, it's red. Between 60 to 120, it's yellow. And if it's hitting 120 and exceeding it, then it's green. If I didn't do anything, maybe let's say I didn't do any chest totals, any chest exercise, right? Then it shows gray. In other words, nothing was done. I didn't even do anything about it. It's like, null value, gray, no color. So this is how I utilize the Excel to be able to explain myself, kind of track myself, the number of those number of sets and reps and amount of weight. In other words, in short, all the important dimensions of my workouts, and for what kind of what muscle groups I use, what exercise, for instance, for quadriceps, I use V squat machine. Maybe next week I'll use back squat. So depending on what exercises I did, what is my weight, set and rep combination distributions, the total amount of weight, total poundage I use, I pushed, and their total distributions per muscle group again per week. And I show the summarized results like this. I had to build these buttons, additional buttons you're seeing here, the top 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons, and those are, since I'm using this on a weekly basis, and I'm going to have to continue after Sunday starts next week, right? And start next week, and follow all the other weeks. So I don't want to go and rewrite, obviously, the whole thing every week. It gets old. You don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So basically, I created additional VBA supported procedures code, which is helping me, and I basically wrapped it up behind these macros, behind these buttons. So once I click it, I start, for instance, the next week, which is actually this current week here. Right now, I'm here, and actually today is Thursday, and I'm planning to go to gym, and I already plan to work out on quadriceps and calves. See, there's another good reason that I'm utilizing this spreadsheet. Is helping me, especially towards the end of the week or after the initial half of the week. I kind of know, depending on the status here, for instance, look at this. I already have chest totals, chest and biceps green, so I will not do them anymore. And I'm going to start today with quadriceps, and I'll try to complete them and hit the greens again for the rest of the muscle groups during this week. So, for instance, when the Saturday comes, for instance, depending on the status here, I know, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to work out, for instance, for Saturday. If I couldn't finish them, I'll try to finish them Sunday. I may or may not have a rest day, depending on the distribution of the number of sets and reps and status shown here by green, yellow, or red. So that's also another kind of advantage of another feature that is helping me to track my workouts. And obviously, I can have a history. I'm building a history by doing this. Right now, I'm exceeding more than last 2 years. I've been using Excel tracking sheet to kind of see my status on a weekly basis and where I'm at. I want to continue this. There's more stuff here towards the right, so I will continue towards right. And we already kind of looked at this area and the green area. So there is this red zone here. I call it red zone. And it's basically, although I have a lot of exercises that are captured on my list, like I said, in gym, there are 75 or so exercises, or at home, like 35. But I might be doing something just for the sake of doing it. Completely different exercise, not captured in those lists, not included on those lists. That's fine. Then I can put it here. It's an ad hoc exercise. It's not one of those exercises planned, kind of predetermined and included in those lists that you were seeing, the drop-down boxes. I can put it in here, whatever I did. And same thing again, weight, set, rep, and their total poundage is also captured in those calculations that you were looking at. And the one final section is dark blue. It is cardio exercises, and my main and most preferred cardio exercise is typically during the spring or summertime, e-bike, riding my e-bike. Why? Because it's fun and I love it. But my typical exercises is actually primarily, for the most part, it's comprised of weight and resistance training exercises. And again, there's definitely an underlying, like I try to describe at the beginning of this video, there is definitely an underlying principles, a certain approach to determine those weight, set, and rep, and weight combinations, along with amount of rest between those sets and the frequency of the workouts per week. They all change from person to person, from goal to goal, and one has to recognize his or her body after enough sufficient amount of workouts or diligent workouts, and then start kind of designing those, applying those principles. And again, there's no such thing as one size fits all type of approach. Typically guidelines and rule of thumb kind of specifics, along with those guidelines, one can utilize to design these programming paradigms for workouts, particularly for bodybuilding or weightlifting, bodybuilding, muscle building, or strength training programs. One more thing that I want to add here is this program you're looking at here, especially I want to show you one more time here. You remember I was showing you this, the muscle groups and total weight, and rep distributions. This is kind of serving towards a not very high end of volume, but decent amount of volume. And my goal here with this program is combining this volume with good, decent amount of intensity. High intensity means the amount of weights are going up. So I want to typically use, especially for compound exercises, heavier weights, which is high intensity, and a lower weight range. And I still want to maintain a decent amount of volume. That means sufficient amount of number of sets and reps. Typically, the program you're looking at is telling me that for large muscle groups, 20 or 20 plus sets each week. For small muscle groups, 10 or 10 plus. And again, the frequency is, if I can have it done in one day, one workout, that's fine. But typically, like quadriceps or chest, particularly quadriceps, these are large muscle groups, right? And I may not be able to complete 120 reps for quadriceps in one workout, especially if I'm doing heavy weights. Then I typically tend to split it into 2 days. As long as I can hit the number, 1 day, 2 day, even 3 days. That's fine. So that's kind of depending on your personal situation. There you go. So basically, I think this kind of covers what I was trying to cover by presenting this the spreadsheet. I did not see any reason to share with you the code that is running behind the scenes, and that's just not really part of, this is not about teaching, showing in Excel and how to use macros and VBA and stuff like that. This is about the design of this program to support and track my workouts. So thank you very much. I appreciate for your time for watching my video, and I hope to see you at another video. Take care, stay strong, stay healthy, and stay safe.